you are just as likely to get killed by Space Marines as you are by aliens. Yeah, 9 times out of 10. I wear my sunglasses at night.
The burp.
You see a thing that isn't here, it's fanfic. These are the only official things in Warhammer.
Let's officially move into the collaboration portion of today's. Cinder, would you care to introduce the Warhammer characters and or faction stand-ins we're going to be working with today?
Okay, so we are going to be looking at, as I said before, there's a million things. Your favorite Space Marine chapters might not be on this list. Okay, doesn't matter. F you, deal with it. There's too many things in Warhammer.
Space Marine chapters are bad. We are officially saying Cinderblock Sally's stamp of approval. If your favorite thing is not on this list, it is outside the top 12 of cool Warhammer facts.
I wouldn't say outside of the top 12 of cool, but I would say outside of the top 12 of relevant for anyone that is trying to learn about Warhammer on a wider level. You're getting into the weeds. We don't need to get into the weeds. Let's open the gate to the garden first, okay? You know, we got to make people want to frolic before they try to dive in the mud. So, frolic with me as we overview. So we're going to be looking at the Ultramarines, the Blue Boys, the Classics. We're going to be looking at the Space Wolves, the Furries, the Drunkards. We're going to be looking at the Salamanders, Captain America. Also, I think I said that for the Ultramarines, but the real Captain America. We're going to be looking at the Night Lords. They are the edgy boys. We're going to be looking at some Adeptus Mechanicus, the robots that are not into the flesh. We're going to be looking at Space Dwarves, the Orcs, which are my favorite, the Necrons, which are basically ancient Egypt, like space Terminators. We're going to be looking at the Tyranid, which are the most exciting ones and then the most boring ones. We're going to be looking at the Tau, which are the Weebos. We're going to be looking at the Eldar, which are the Space Elves. The Dark Eldar, which are the Edgelord Space Elves. And then a bunch of fucking chaos, all the Chaos Gods, and then the boys, the Imperial Guard. Those are the ones we're looking at, okay? If your favorite, no Blood Angels.
Fuck the Orcs. Fuck the Blood Angels.
Go watch Twilight. Go watch Twilight. Okay, you want to hang out with vampires? Oh, our Primarch is so handsome. Let's just make art. Oh, but we have to make art so we don't get rageful because no one understands our darkness. So we have to make art. Okay, there's your fucking Sanguinius. Okay, he's dead. Sanguinius died. Okay, he lost to Horus. Come on now. Anyway,
okay,
we're not looking at the Blood Angels, no, but the Blood Angels are really cool. I do like them quite a lot. Blood Angels, one of the guys in the Blood Angels, so the Blood Angels have to drink blood or they go crazy. So they have like funny little, so one of the things that they have in their suits. Just like me, FR. Yeah, they essentially have like juice boxes of blood in their suits that they can drink with a little crazy straw.
That's awesome. All right, let's open with the Ultramarines. What do they do for fun?
The Ultramarines are the most popular kid in school. They are white privilege incarnate. They are trying to be good, but sort of very like naive in that they've never really had it rough. Like they've always been the most popular person. Always been the most popular person.
They've never had anything bad happen to them.
They've had bad stuff happen to them, but in the context of Warhammer 40K, no. Like no one in Warhammer has a good time, but for all the people in Warhammer, they basically have been the most, so like they have the most plot armor and they have the most units, so like they're the ones that are just played the most, and their leader is legit awesome. Their leader is like he was like around 10,000 years ago and he sort of got killed. And then he came back 10,000 years later, and everyone sort of like reveres him because he's like of the ancient times, but he's just trying to like do his job. And if he leaves his space armor, he dies. So he always has giant gauntlet fingers. And there's like a great short story that is basically just, it's called Armor of Fate, if anyone wants to read it. And it's basically a short story is him sitting in his office struggling with armor and like getting frustrated that he can't pick up paper and stuff. But so they're fine. I don't love them in particular, but they are the poster boys. Every Space Marine game is them.
Just being cool and handsome.
Yeah.
Then let's graph this to Magic. These people, this sounds to me like Esper Pillow Fort, and every card is sourced directly from EDHREC, which is a site. It's a like compiler site you can use to get recommendations for your commander decks. But what will happen is it just suggests what is in aggregate the most generically good cards for the deck.
Yes.
So I agree.
But do they also work? Like, is it
yes.
But do they end up working in a way that might be like annoying to someone that puts a lot of heart into building a deck?
It's super competent, and people get really fucking frustrated because these people just show up and they're like, what's up? I built such a good deck. And it is the most boring thing. It is the condiment equivalent of mayonnaise if you could somehow like non-fat mayonnaise in terms of flavor, but it is 100% effective and is the most likely person to win the game.
Yeah, that sounds like Ultramarines. Yeah,
that's
that
need
like
more DACA for sure. Tell me about the Space Wolves.
Okay, Space Wolves are, now I'm gonna say this again, chat. We are mixing lore. I'm going to be referencing retcon stuff. I don't care. But the Space Wolves are essentially Vikings. They live on this ice planet. They figured out how to make a type of drink that can poison them and turn one of their internal organs off so that they can get drunk, because normally Space Marines can't get drunk because they're just, they have too much going on. They like wearing the bones of things that they catch and fighting with axes. They are boisterous and loud. They are a little bit independent morally. Like, they sometimes seem like more good guys, sometimes seem like a little bit rougher, but they also are like, they're like the scary barbarian that at the end of the day does the right thing, but along the way does a lot of horrible stuff. They love partying. They love pranking each other. They are notorious for holding in their farts until they're in drops, like drop ships, and then farting to piss each other off. They're a bunch of goofs, but they're also like scary alcohol Viking monster people.
Okay. I think this is the Rurik Thar player. If you don't know that commander, he's a massive fucking guy who attacks every combat if he can, and if you try to cast a non-creature spell, he punches you in the dick. So I think they're Rurik Thar players, and I think that's DACA. I think they show up to every pod and they sit down and they slam the deck on the table and they say, let's get nasty, without a hint of irony. Yes, I can handle crazy shit happening if the person is coming in and saying, because these people don't seem like, the times I hate random off the wall shit is when people pretend that they're trying to be totally normal and like buttoned up and it's going to be chill and relaxing. If these are the type of people to sit down and go, let's get wicked, but delivered much more genuinely than that, I'm so on the same fucking page, and that is going to be one of the best Commander games ever.
All right, then I think DACA for sure.
All right, now tell me about the Salamanders, because everybody in chat thinks they're the best.
The Salamanders, both across the entire spectrum of Warhammer 40k, there are mountains of debate in all directions. And there's also a variety of debate in terms of how serious it is, like we are getting into the weeds versus like goofy, silly arguments.
Mm-hmm.
From the memeiest of memes to the most obnoxious of like semantic, every single person agrees that the Salamanders are the best Space Marines in terms of being good people.
Mm-hmm.
They are the good older brother. If you were going to equate them to something in the real world, they are the only Space Marines that are anywhere close to like a fireman, as opposed to a army person. They are also the only Space Marines that maintain relationships with their families. Like most Space Marines, the process to go from being a person to a Space Marine starts when you're really little. And aside from all the crazy biological changes you go through, you are highly indoctrinated. You are like the most radical, zealous cultist, to the point where you kind of stop having emotions in the same way that people do. Because in Warhammer 40k, certain types of emotions or proclivity to having emotions can sometimes actually be really dangerous. Salamanders are the ones that, like, most of the time, if Space Marines crash down in your city and aliens are attacking, the Space Marines aren't there to save you. They're there to fight the aliens. You are just as likely to get killed by Space Marines as you are by aliens. 9 times out of 10. But if it's the Salamanders, they go out of their way to help people.
I'm feeling Boros, but I'm feeling more Mardu than I am Jeskai, because we've got big, angry, over the top, no such thing as precision, Mardu crash out, and they would team up with another deck that they identified with. It's not Naya. It's not fucking Naya, you fucking children. Oh my lord.
You got a couple people saying Naya.
Yeah.
Why not Naya?
And those people are
I used to work with someone named Naya.
Those people are all wrong.
I think it's Mardu.
Flamethrowering is not a Naya activity. Is the most simple way to put it. Flamethrowering is the most Mardu activity I have heard of in my fucking life. Like I'm gonna pull up a guy for you.
Yeah, let me see a picture of Mardu. That'll help. Honestly, the picture of the commander will also help with some of this. Oh yeah. He could be. I could see that Mardu. I could see Mardu being a.
And then I want to pull up a Naya guy for you.
They're also blacksmiths. I don't know if that matters.
Yeah, this
They're
is fucking really Mardu. This is Naya.
They make a lot of stuff.
This is Naya.
No, Naya is probably gonna be some space elf or Tau thing.
Yeah, a fucking hamster man.
I wear my sunglasses at night.
The burp, dude. I'm gonna put salamanders in Daka Daka above Space Wolves. I think these are people who show up and they're like, what's up? We're playing this game and we are fucking ending it. I could see Mardu, I could see Jund if we swap white for green, but I think that red has to be in there. And I think if they're big on overkill, that is like green-black hybrid mana. Tell me about the Night Lords. Tell me about the Night
Lords are if the Salamanders are the nicest guys in the bunch, the Night Lords are the opposite end of that spectrum. The Night Lords are one of the groups that became one of the traitor legions. So in Warhammer, about 10,000 years ago, this guy named Horus was like, hey, Dad, you're kind of fucked. And Dad was not being very good at communicating, but then continued to be bad at communicating. And then they had a giant civil war between the Space Marines, and half of them fell to chaos. And so the Night Lords are one of the ones that fell to chaos. But even before they fell to chaos, they were nasty dudes. So when the Night Lords were good guys, the way that they would deal with conflict would be like, there's a planet where there's some civil unrest happening, or there's a planet where there's like some Tau loving happening. So what they go to the planet is, they shroud the entire thing in darkness, they kidnap like the children of the 3 people that run the rebellion, and then they broadcast across the planet them brutally killing those children very slowly and being like, hey, we're just gonna do this with another one of your kids every single day until you stop. And then the whole planet eventually is like, oh shit, we're not gonna do that anymore. And then they keep doing it anyway for like 3 months, and then they leave. That's the Night Lords in a nutshell.
Okay. Solved this one instantly. They are immediately in viral Reddit post, because that is the level of evil in which you hate playing against them, but the one thing you take from that game is you get to go bitch about them and everybody validates you. Because this happens all the time, is people will like post on Reddit, post on Blue Sky, post on whatever, being like, I went to the LGS and I had the worst time ever. This person said they were playing a fun, chill, whatever deck, and then did insert oops all counter spells, insert Toxrill, which is a slug commander, insert any number of ways to lock the game completely. And then the internet cheers and is like, yeah, fuck that guy. And so I think that's viral Reddit post immediately. Okay. I think for colors, I genuinely do not think you can give these people one color. I think this branches into 3 different types of behavior. I think this is one. Unfortunately for you guys, this is 90% of Keurig players. This is 90% of Keurig players.
Oh my god, yeah, it looks like, look, he's got spikes coming out of him.
There are 10,
so emo.
There are 10% of you who are redeemed. It's 90% of Keurig players. It's a bunch of blue-black players. Like, there's a bunch of people who also play this, who are playing blue-black because they're like, oh, it's
Mind
a Keurig deck.
Counterspell.
It's a Keurig deck, but I wanted access to counter spells. Or they could do like Orzhov, which is black-white, or they do black-white-blue. There's a lot of different color combinations, but it all revolves around lying about how strong their deck is, having some type of combo win, or locking you out of the game with something like Drannith Magistrate, Possibility Storm, or not Possibility Storm, well, Possibility Storm or Knowledge Pool. And these are 2-card combos that do not win the game, but stop everybody but you from playing the game. And that is the baby killing montage, where they just take turn after turn of being like, would you like to play too bad?
None of this would be possible without support from our highest tier Patreon members, so please join me and Little Nadu as we take a moment to thank Badger King, Sussedin, Christian B, Ryan A, Adam S, Solar Movie, Biggest Dickus, Kyle, Jess HW, Alpha Dog 2064, Crimson Viper, Zelenor, Otterfire, Dad Out for Milk, Kyler P, Bolus Brigade, Derek H, Phelan, B Leave, Dungeon Masters Consortium, Zach G, Bobby Joe Lord, Talamar Von Geist, Troper and their 37 different identities, Bradley T, Bo, Beefcake, and Silky Wilkie. Thank you all and enjoy the video. Hi everybody, welcome to the Mango Money Moment, a new segment that exists only because YouTube has told us that if their automatic mid-roll placer doesn't believe that my video has enough dead air in it to constitute a transitional phase, they will not put monetized ads in the middle, which can really cut into the editor's leak budget. So we're going to have these moments where we just stop and stare for a little bit.
I've got the
Adeptus Mechanicus. Okay, so these guys are technically human. They're from Mars, and in the briefest of nutshells, there was like a civil war they had a while ago, and now because of that civil war and the bureaucracy slash like societal structures that the Imperium needs to survive, they're kind of allowed to do their own thing in a way that the rest of the Imperium is not. And their own thing is robot stuff. They are all about machines and robots and machinery, but with a couple very specific twists, which are very Warhammery. One, in Warhammer, you're not allowed to invent new technology. It's heretical, and they worship. So these guys, they're not like scientists. They worship technology sort of like a cult. I think they're called the cult Mechanicus a lot of the time. And in the Warhammer universe, old technology is a lot more advanced than modern technology because there was essentially a second like wipeout of technology. So anything from like the dark age of technology is essentially like super magic. And the Mechanicus hunts out artifacts and relics from the dark age of technology to preserve them and then to try to replicate them. Because even though you're not allowed to invent something new, you are allowed to learn from something old that you create. And they worship the Emperor not as this guy in the golden throne, but as this like ghostly manifestation of life and spirit manifested as man of like machinery and of logic. The way that they repair things is their repair techniques are called litanies. Like there's like the litany of percussion, which literally just means like banging on the thing till it works. And they like replacing their body parts with robot parts. And a lot of the older, more powerful ones are basically just a brain inside a giant complicated machine. And they fucking hate AI.
Interesting. Okay, couple clarifying questions. How much better do they think they are than the average person?
Everyone. The flesh is weak.
The flesh is
genuinely
weak. Okay, how strict are their rules?
Incredibly strict. Zealous religious cult strict.
Okay, these are blue-white artifact players. I think there is an argument for blue-white versus red-white. They obviously have to be on a blue artifact list. I think, is it players to me, based on what you've told me, the orcs are not this. Mango, do not clip this part. The
Mango,
orcs,
clip it.
God damn it. The orcs are closer to, or the orcs are red. Really, the orcs are red. These guys don't seem red. These guys seem white and they seem blue. Blue is like craving perfection, striving, and the white is like, I'm fucking better than you. And also here is a 50-page long book of rules you have to follow at all times. Yeah, so okay, so we have blue-white shithead artifact player who thinks that they have come up with the coolest deck list ever. I'm banishing those people to the warp.
Yeah?
I've played against...
You don't want to play one game with them.
I don't want to play a single fucking game with these people. I have played games like this, and it is like these are the type of people who, with the bracket system in Commander, these are the type of people who will like optimize a deck for a lower bracket and do the strongest thing possible all of the time within the letters of the law, knowing it is bullshit, and then they're like, but this is bracket 2, baby. Let's move on to the leagues or the leagues of Votann.
It's leagues. You'll notice some spelling mistakes across the board.
A few fucking whoopsies.
They are, I'd like to consider them foreshadowing for my generalized knowledge as opposed to my specified knowledge. The leagues of Votann are space dwarves. They are also, unfortunately, one of those things that got like retconned into something kind of bland. So, but yeah, what people are rock and stone. Rock and stone is very much the leagues of Votann. They are clones, so they all kind of look the same, but they are really into individuality, so they'll get like facial tattoos or do crazy stuff with their hair. They are separate from the Imperium in that like they kind of aren't under the watch of humans, but they are technically yeah please.
You said they're all exactly the same, so they're all clones of each other.
Yeah.
They all think they're different.
No, they all. I mean, their minds are all different, but genetically they're all clones.
Right, but they dress themselves up as different, and they're different people.
Yeah. They're different people.
Is it. And we're gonna put them in Need More DACA. Tell me the rest.
They're separate from the Imperium, but the Imperium kind of leaves them alone. And I don't remember exactly why, but I honestly think it's mostly because they're mostly doing their own thing and or good. They also are some of the most technologically advanced people in Warhammer, arguably more advanced than the Tau sometimes. And they pretend they're less technologically advanced than they are whenever they're dealing with the Imperium, so the Imperium doesn't annoy them as much. Like, they go out of their way to make their ships look kind of junky. They also have like they literally go mining. Like, they have giant super ships that can mine whole planets into this weird like Halo thing. They also have robots that basically are AI, and they like them like people, and like if one of them dies, they'll have like a funeral for it in the way that they would for like a person. And they also when they die, they upload their brains into essentially their version of the internet, and that's like their afterlife.
All right, so Family Feud board, we've got all genetic clones of each other, all grabbing onto whatever expressions of individuality they can get to, and they present a face that is much weaker than they actually are. That is Niv fucking Mizzet or Galazeth Prismari, which are both Spellslinger decks. It's probably Galazeth because of treasure tokens. Yeah,
I was gonna say, whichever one you think does a better job of showing off the like they have good, powerful gear, I would lean in that direction.
It's Galazeth, and I'm gonna say, genuinely, Need More DACA. As somebody who had to outgrow being this way, you need more DACA in your life. Tell me about the Orcs.
Oh, the Orcs. So I will say this, the Orcs are my favorite. The Orcs exist in two perspectives, okay? There are Orcs from everyone else's perspective, and then there are Orcs from their own perspective. Orcs from everyone else's perspective are terrifying. Orcs from their own perspective are really fun, but the facts are the same across the board. You just have to imagine whether or not this is something that you get to do or something that is being done against you. Orcs literally follow Looney Tune logic in the Grimdark universe. So they have the power of belief manifesting physically around them, but not as individuals, and they cannot do it intentionally. So it is like when all orcs believe something to be true, that thing becomes more manifest in the world. The easiest example of this is orcs believe that the color red makes things go faster, so when they paint their vehicles red, the vehicles that they paint red go faster. There is also an argument that they have genetic memory, so some of that psychic field is not exactly what's happening. They just intuitively know how to make things do what they want them to do. They are the comedy in Warhammer 40K. Like they are they are legitimately funny. Like there's a great part of a book where there are some characters on a ship, and they're robot characters, and the ship has orcs smashing through, and they're like, well, they're not gonna be able to do anything in here. Like, there's no atmosphere in our ship, so they won't be able to breathe. And then the orcs get into the ship and start running through it, and they're like looking at each other like, wait, don't orcs have lungs? Like, don't they need to breathe? And the other one's like, I don't think they know that. So like the orcs don't need to put oxygen in their spaceships because they don't know that they need need to breathe.
What is their relationship to dying in battle? Is it good? Is it something to be avoided? There is a quote that orcs can't, there's an orc quote, and I'm not going to quote it exactly here, but it's essentially like, orcs can't lose because if we die fighting, and that's cool. And if we don't die, we get to keep fighting, and that's cool. This is the Henzi deck. And now I am very biased because this is one of my favorite decks. They sort of like seem dumb, but it's just that they sort of see existence through like 3 very specific lenses, and they don't care to learn anything outside of that. And it leads to them doing things that end up being rather clever a lot of the time, or being able to like bend the rules of reality, not necessarily intentionally or not, but regardless, it makes their plan work, even if their plan is crazy sometimes. I would have put this on Would Invite back. Because I think this
Okay.
is like, I think this is a thing where they are so tunneled that it's not something you're always in the mood for.
I will also say, yeah, they definitely only have one play style.
Yeah, like they have one speed, and there's sometimes where you're like, I don't want to go that speed right now.
Yeah, that's all. They only go one speed. That's also why they have the most fun in Warhammer, because their speed is fighting, and Warhammer is just everybody's fighting forever.
Mhm. Okay, tell me about Necrons, which these did get a precon deck for the 40k crossover, and Wizards gave them mono black.
Okay, so Necrons are okay. What they are in the modern day is most of them are essentially soulless robot zombies that are controlled by a select group of highly intelligent, highly charismatic, almost like mummy kings, but Terminators. They are really old. Like, they were around 60 million years ago, and they basically got tricked into stuff by some eldritch shit. It doesn't matter, old stuff. But what they are now is they have some of the most advanced technology in the 40k universe. But it's really old. They are, most of their character, the ones that are characters often have like more human personality than other people do, because they're so charismatic and old, and they're often very goofy and silly, because they're also just so powerful. Most of them are sleeping, and what their whole shtick is they're like waking up, and now they're seeing the universe that used to be theirs is like populated by all these warring things. So they're just like, fuck you, give us our universe back. They are also like, they just don't really respect or fear anything. There's one of and they hate the Tyranid, but they're also like, they'll do shit like this. Like, let's say our planet right now, Earth, okay? If the Necrons woke up and they wanted to take Earth, this is what they would do. They would push a button, and then every electronic device at the same time on the planet would boop, pop up a picture of a Necron head, and they would say, hello, I am Tomb King Necro Nunga Necro Man, and these are my Necrons, this is our planet. You didn't know it was our planet, but it's ours. So your species has 24 hours to evacuate the planet. You can go wherever you want, but this is ours. Take your time. We're not here to hurt you. Just make sure you're gone in 24 hours, because then we're going to firebomb everything that we don't like. And then that's it. So it's like, what do? We don't have the technology to leave the planet.
How strict are they on rules?
I don't even think they have rules. They're almost more like, they have like ideologies, but a good way to think of them is like warlord kings. Like they just they have like a shared history and culture, but they kind of do their own thing.
Okay.
And that often leads to them fighting each other.
So they do kind of whatever serves them, but whatever they decide to be the thing that serves them is absolute until they decide something different.
Yeah, there's like, the Necrons are like a select group of kings, except instead of having a kingdom, they have a kingdom's worth of mindless but very powerful Necrons and ancient technology to do with whatever they want.
I do agree with Watsy's decision to make them mono black. I feel like, I'm banishing them to the warp. Because
why can I ask why? What kind of player is that?
I feel like this is the type of player that, like, what I'm getting is, I could combo win right now, but that wouldn't be any fun. Take your next turn, and then I'll win.
In one of the short story like show things, there's a scene where a Necron traps some Chaos Marines in like a time bubble.
Yeah.
And he's like taunting them, and then he turns the time bubble off just long enough for the Space Marine to fire a shot at him, and then he turns the time thing back on so he can pluck the bullet out of the air and crush it in the Space Marine's face.
Yeah, this is like...
That sounds exactly like take one more turn.
I'm never playing another commander game with these people. So it's the play with your food type of people. Hates the bracket system because they hate telling you what's in their deck. And then they go to win and they're like, oh no, take one more turn. And then as soon as you put together a win, then they smack you down.
Let's talk about the Tyranids from a storytelling perspective for a second. The Tyranids are one of the more fun things because they are the most monstrous. They are the most alien. They are very xenomorph. Any sort of like bio-alien thing, they got a version of. They're also like very fun in that they are like an ant colony. They're a hive mind, but to an extreme where a lot of them don't even have like digestive systems or things like that. But because of that, They also kind of end up being the most boring, not from like they don't have characters. So the best thing about the Tyranid from like a meta perspective is they are a threat. They are a fun thing to watch characters contend with, but they really are not characters. They are now, what is their vibe? They are a hive mind. They are very much like, they are the definition of like, the monsters will charge at you and fill the moat with their dead bodies to get to you. They also like adapt evolutionarily very quickly. Not necessarily like, they don't like change as things, but like if, for example, they want to fight a planet and that planet has a lot of like everyone on that planet has like really powerful artilleries, they are going to make sure the next generation that goes to that planet is going to have extra thick carapaces to push against that artillery. Or maybe they will make sure all of their creatures are using a very specific tactic. Their modus operandum is just eat. They are trying to consume the universe. When they succeed at taking a planet, they eat everything biologically like viable on that planet down to like bacteria, so that when they leave a planet, it's essentially like a dust bowl.
Wizards has also assigned them a color. They assigned it Temur. I don't disagree with that color. I am going to do a little move, and then I'm going to justify why I'm right. We're gonna just put them into a viral Reddit post. The reasons I'm going to put them there are as follows. These sound like the people who, similar to the Orcs, have exactly one thing they want to do. They're doing their thing, and they are doing at maximum speed. And this also sounds to me like player at the LGS who is updating their deck every week to shut off other people's decks.
The Tyranid are actually very similar to the Orcs, as if the Tyranid are the Orcs if the Orcs had intelligent design and the Wa was something that was more conscious and focused.
Yeah, I think the only thing saving the Orcs for me is that childlike joy. And I think the Tyranid...
Yeah. They do bring joy. The Tyranid don't bring the joy. The Tyranid are no joy. They're just xenomorphs. They are emotionless, lifeless, personalityless. You can't befriend a Tyranid. There's a couple circumstances of lone Tyranid creatures sort of getting left behind by the swarm, kind of doing their own thing. But their own thing is just a more wild animal version of being a Tyranid. They don't like become buddies with anyone or do anything fun.
This seems like player who makes no jokes at the table, participates in no jokes at the table, plays their cards, hates the idea of politicking, and they'll play a card that just like blows out your whole deck, and they'll be like, oh, when did you get that? And they were like, oh, well, you beat me last week, and so I looked up ways to beat your deck. Tell me about the Tau.
The Tau are funny. So the Tau are the newest ensemble in 40k, both in terms of being added to the lore and in terms of being the youngest thing. So basically, the deal is when the Imperium of Man travels around and they go find new planets, if there's sentient life on that planet, they'll mark that planet and be like, okay, we're going to go kill that. So send a ship to kill that. So they went to a planet. They saw some people on the planet that have sort of like fish-looking heads. And the people were like banging rocks together and making little fires. And they were like, all right, cool, let's go mess with these people, or we'll burn these people down. So let's write it down in the books. And then they didn't come back to that planet for like 5,000 years or some amount of time. When they get back to the planet to go like, all right, let's go exterminatus these guys, they had technologically passed the Imperium. And by the time they went back to deal with these little guys that were clanging rocks together, they had Gundam-style mech suits that were way more well-designed than Space Marine armor in a lot of ways. They had the most powerful long-range weapons in all of 40k, and they still do. And they're essentially the anime sci-fi guys. If the Space Marines are into like force and power, they are like dexterity and range and nimble. They are also very naive, so they have no real they still don't really understand the weight of the universe that they're in. Like there is a famous moment in 40k where they did battle with some Imperium guys, and one of the things they were fighting was a dreadnought, which is like it's basically a walking sarcophagus that can keep a Space Marine alive for a really long time. And they kill that guy. When they kill that guy, they realize that thing that killed was older than their whole species, or older than their civilization. And it was like a big moment for them. They also believe politically in this idea of the greater good and have sort of like at first it seems like they're nice because they're the only guys that when they go to a planet, they don't just kill people. They're like, hey, you want to work towards the greater good with us? And they'll work with aliens. They'll work with any other species, whatever. But they also, there is sort of a wink and a nudge. There's like a sort of hinted at subtext that there might be like a psionic mind control element to the greater good, where there is a little bit of like subtle subconscious control that is happening there. There's still some darkness there too. And yeah, they're the anime guys. They even have, I made a video about this guy recently. They even have like an anime protagonist guy that like runs around with a laser sword and tries to be all cool and misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like the little kid that has the most powerful laser gun in the battlefield.
Okay, that sounds to me like a group hug player. But
dude, I love Farsight, man. I didn't do him dirty. Farsight's great.
Farsight's great.
There's also no argument that Farsight isn't the quintessential anime protagonist.
Yeah, like I think I'm not convinced on the specific commander that I have pulled up, but I am convinced on group hug player who is running combo. And so other options for this are, they could also be Zedru, they could also be Miss Bumbleflower. They are for sure something that is group hug, but they are also running infinite combos. And the flexibility Cinder's talking about means red, or how do they feel about like proliferating things? Like, are they trying to expand aggressively is the greater good an expansionist ideal or a collectivist thing?
A bit of both. I mean, it is definitely expansionist. Like they are sending out people. They're not trying to, they are going out into the world. They're trying to bring people in.
Then yeah, I think this could be Kaineos and Tiro, or this could be Mrs. Bumbleflower. I think the colors are less important than this is group hug, and also it has every high power infinite they could fit in the deck in there, and every printing of every card is foil. And like the most, I agree with the most expensive foil of everything possible. Like they have the $600 basic lands. I'm debating between Need More DACA and Would Invite Back. That's not the worst thing ever once you know, but it does probably leave a bad taste in your mouth before you know.
But yeah, I mean, also, I will say from a social perspective, they are also folks that will they'll bring some food and stuff, but then they'll also bring pamphlets and try to get you to go to their church.
Okay, so I think
it's a bit of a give take, you know, like they will be a good like it'll be the best coleslaw you ever had, but you will have to sit through 20 minutes about Jehovah's Witness or whatever.
Okay, then I think we have to go for the first temporarily transient group, where I think the first game you play with them is Need More DACA, and over time when you're like, okay, this is Jeff, he brings good food, watch out, he is running Approach of the Second Sun, he is running tutors, he is going to talk to you about Mormonism, just don't listen to any of that shit and just eat the biscuits. What about the Eldar?
The Eldar are space elves. The Eldar live their entire existence basically trying to relive the past and make up for past mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
They used to be super fun-loving space elves that did whatever they want, made lots of beautiful things and had big crazy parties. And then they partied too hard and got a little crazy, and it created a demon lord, which we will get to in a little while, which is essentially the demon lord of partying too hard, Slaanesh. And now they all exist in this weird, shitty situation where when they die, their soul is immediately consumed by Slaanesh. So their society has essentially split into different sub-societies that are dealing with that or trying to deal with that in different ways. The vast majority of them do this thing where they have these soul stones where when they die, their body is sucked into the stone. And then that stone has their soul and they can use it to plug into like the spirit internet that they have, or to like sort of bring people back to life in like warrior robot things. They are, but they fight very much like space elves. They have a lot of elegant sword play stuff. And then sometimes giant crazy bone constructs with swords. They think they're owed everything. They're really hoity-toity. They will burn 1,000 human planets to the ground to save one soul stone, because there's not that many of them left. Yeah, they're not quite so artsy fartsy as they used to be, and that's kind of them in a nutshell.
Would the term "lost in the sauce" apply to them? in terms of
Oh,
how
yeah.
they generally move through their life. Okay.
I think Lost in the Sauce. I mean, if I would also say the sauce. If the sauce is the past, then they're also definitely lost in the sauce.
Then I think these are Sultai people. So Sultai is green, blue, black, and chat was talking a lot about landfall. I'm actually going to throw it back to our GOAT MMX with the Muldrotha deck. I think these are lands players. I think these are players who have a lot of like weird combos and are either like insufferable or you love them. I don't know. I think this is Need More DACA because I dislike fiddliness in my casual games. If I'm in a pod, I dislike when a deck is taking a lot of game actions to go a very small distance. Talking about the Dark Eldar.
Okay, so the Dark Eldar, you got to take everything we just said about the Eldar, throw it out the window, and replace it with Hellraiser mixed with anything BDSM. Instead of putting their souls in soul stones to try to protect themselves, what they do is they essentially vampire take the soul essence from other people by making the most torment possible. So they essentially like their entire culture is around like creating and preserving torment essentially and hurting in as many ways as possible to as many people as possible. Like you know the Rick and Morty episode where they go to the Hellraisers and it's like pain is good, like that is them.
Yeah, so there's a commander called Blim, and the main thing Blim players do is when their commander hits you, they get to give you a thing that they control. And typically the things that they give you are things that lock you out of playing the game or are like a ticking time bomb that will make you lose the game. And they do a lot of like, I have no idea how I'm going to win, but I have a very clear idea of how I'm going to fuck you out of winning or engaging in this game for the next 40 minutes.
Yeah, because that is genuinely that's what they're about, is like prolonged pain. And like, how can I make you feel the most frustrated?
This guy is fucking awesome. This is the coolest motherfucker ever. Now, he is totally inappropriate outside of high power magic because the thing he does is when he enters or attacks, he makes the whole table discard and he draws based off of it. In high power, this is the sickest fucking thing ever. This guy is amazing. It is dope. It is cool because we are all trying to shank each other. No matter what you do with a Kefka deck, the moment you bring it to a low power table, you have ruined the vibes and the Kefka player just thinks they are succeeding because
yeah, that's very dark.
This is called hand rip, and hand rip as a strategy is like in lower power for sure, and in most casual tables, people are like, God, I fucking hate this. God, I hate this so much. How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? And the Kefka player is just like, play better cards, maybe. I think anybody who's like, I have a bracket 2 Kefka deck, that is Dark Eldar. And I think that is banished to the warp, actually. I think these are the people you just desperately want to forget that you ever met. Tell me about Slaanesh.
All right, so before I tell you about Slaanesh, what we are going to be transitioning to here, and it's what we're doing for the next 4, are the Chaos Gods. And the Chaos Gods in Warhammer, just to explain what they are, is each of the Chaos Gods is born of a manifestation of all of the feelings and experiences and trauma of everyone that has, quote unquote, a soul, or sort of like a soul in the 40k universe. Each one of these Chaos Gods is a semi-physical manifestation of like the main horrible things that people are feeling, because the 40k universe is pretty horrible. That being said, they do sort of manifest as characters, but they are like vibes incarnate. Slaanesh specifically is the vibe of excess, of debauchery, of feeling, of thirsting, of yearning, and all of that times a million. So like the easiest way to think about Slaanesh is like, you see the most attractive person you've ever seen in your life, they walk over to you, they make you feel the best you've ever felt in your life, and then you feel strange and there's spikes coming out of your eyeballs and you feel so good that it hurts. And now you're embedded in a wall where every now and then you are like jolted with shocking feelings of joy and pain in like a giant cave of flesh. Like that's Slaanesh. Slaanesh is like debauchery. It's Dionysius. Yeah, like even the picture I picked there is someone whose body has been turned into a harp that's being played by a demon.
Okay.
Like it is awesome in like the scary awesome. It is dark joy.
Okay. Chat's thinking a lot about this from a physical perspective, and they're talking about like anime play mats, not safe for work proxies. I think that might be a part of them. I think this is the person who whose deck is made to copy Scrambleverse. Let me show you that.
I don't know
card.
what does that mean? Describe.
Scrambleverse is when you take, and this is going to sound wrong at first. This is going to sound wrong at first, and then I'm going to bring it back around. Scrambleverse is for each non-land permanent. Choose a player at random. They gain control of the permanents they were chosen for, and then you untap those permanents. So it essentially mixes up the entire Magic board. And Scrambleverse is generally agreed upon to be a hilarious card the first time you resolve it, and a terrible card the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth time you resolve it. And
I'm gonna interrupt you. I actually kind of agree with chat. There's another Chaos God that this feels vibey with. But wait, tell me where your thought process is coming from.
I think chat's being too literal again, because I think the going from the highest peak to the shitty spike dungeon is, I think, the epitome of chaos lock players. Like, these are the players who say, I'm building a chaos deck, and then the chaos deck is meant to prevent you from taking game actions while they re-resolve the card they think is funny. And these are the decks that go from, oh, this is going to be such a kooky good time, to holy shit, let me out.
I see that. I also think, though, that transition of having such a good time, holy shit, let me out, is the experience of most of the Chaos Gods. Most of them are that, because the whole gimmick of the Chaos Gods is people fall to them because there is an appeal. There is an element of this does actually make help, and then it gets too much. The only one that I don't think is that necessarily is maybe Zinch. But all of them are a path, because life in Warhammer 40k is so horrible. So even though these things are horrible, a lot of the time they at least feel like the lesser of horrors, or they legitimately make your life good for a while before you realize where the corruption is. The main things with Slaanesh are the thirsty, the party, the flesh, the touching, overdose on like the overdose on feeling.
Okay, then I do think Necusar fits that well. He's somebody who lets you draw additional cards, but he deals the damage to you every time you draw a card. And most Necusar decks will lean into wheels, which is where you have to discard your hand to draw a new one. And so when you're playing against a Necusar player, you usually get to play, like, you get to see way more of your cards, and you get to use way fewer of them.
Oh, that's very Slaanesh.
Because they keep giving you more stuff, and then they rip it back out of your hands before you're actually able to utilize it, and the whole time you're taking damage.
I think hits.
That's warp for me then. I dislike those decks greatly. I very much dislike when I played with these players, I dislike how these players politic, and they generally take the role of like barely even player in the game. Tell me about Khorne. I know a little bit about Khorne from Reddit memes.
So Khorne is the blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne guy. That's where that comes from. And Khorne is essentially the chaos god of violence and murder. To worship Khorne is to do battle. There are lots of arguments that Khorne is potentially the strongest chaos god, because you don't need to necessarily worship Khorne intentionally. You just need to do horrible violence, and you are paying tribute to Khorne. And the whole of 40k is in constant violence. But the people that do worship Khorne are essentially like, violence is the answer, and that is sort of the beginning and the end of their existence.
Then that's very easily Rakdos. I mean, I generally think this is Daka Daka. I think most LGSs in the world should have a like Khorne-esque player on call. I do not think it's Lord of Pain, because Lord of Pain doesn't fucking want to do anything. Lord of Pain decks.
I could see them being Daka Daka, just because even from a Warhammer perspective, they are a good fight for everyone.
Mhm.
Nobody's like, there are certain people that get upset when they fight other people.
Yeah.
Like orcs hate fighting Tau because they fight in such different ways. Everybody has a pretty good time fighting the Khorne demons because they're just classic big punchy guys.
Okay, this is Carter Doomscourge. There's literally no other option. That's Daka Daka for sure. Tell me about Tzens.
Daka Daka.
Tizzy, Ten. Tell me about Tom.
It's pronounced Tzeetiche. That will make a lot of people really frustrated if you put that in a YouTube video. Its name is Tzeentch.
Tzeentch.
The
Okay.
Lord of Change. The Lord of Change. So Tzeentch is a weird one. Tzeentch is probably the most eldritch of the Chaos Gods.
Mhm.
They are very much about learning the unknowable, like reading a book that makes it so you grow tentacles out of your eyes but also see the future. They famously have a demon can perfectly see the future and the past and has two different heads, and one is and they're both constantly saying crazy stuff. So there's just like a billion guys sitting around writing down all the stuff they're saying because in theory they're like giving great revelations, but people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They also they are another group that a lot of times people end up worshiping them unintentionally because like you can stumble into knowledge that is too much to know that allows chaos to like break in and change you. Their aesthetic is very bird. If it's not very bird, it's very tentacle eyeballs.
All right, so they're doing chaotic things, but you said they can see into the future.
It's very like knowledge, premonition, prophecy, oracle, but all with like twisty tendrils and madness.
Okay. How? Let me think of some more clarifying questions. Do they take risks, or is it like all is written and so everything we're doing is predetermined?
I think they are sort of that space that like they might decide that taking the risk is the predetermined thing. Like they are a leaf in the wind of change.
Oh, but is there a way for them? Are they like fixing the match, so to say?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think there's a lot of if you ever have the horrible idea to torment yourself by going into like Reddit forums about this, a lot of the times people are like, why isn't Tzeentch the strongest of the Chaos Gods? Because of how sort of meta their vibe is.
Okay, then this is
Sakashima.
This is a CEDH pairing that is. Biggs Dog is saying they will lose on purpose purely because they think it's funny. Is that a true statement?
That's an oversimplification. They might lose something on purpose because they think it's leading to a greater victory somewhere else, or because
this is Krakashima. This is Krakashima. Yeah, this is the most Krakashima shit I've heard in my life. That's Daka Daka to me. That's Daka Daka to me exclusively because shout out my guy Deadbeat Scott, who is a Krakashima player, and I have played against their Krakashima deck, and it was some of the most fun shit ever. I'm sure that there are dickhead Krakashima players who may change your personal opinion. My experience with Krakashima players, this is the dopest shit ever. And I think the only thing that might move them out of Daka Daka is Krakashima in Magic has you have to be ready for that mood. If you're not ready for that mood, so I don't think it's like universally, fuck yeah, get them in the pod. But I think as long as you're playing at a power level that can support it, then it's like, fuck yeah, this is the best person to have in the pod. All right, so what's he do? What's this guy up to?
Okay, so Papa Nurgle is the in the same way that Slanesh is the chaos god of thirst and whatever Khorne is of violence, Papa Nurgle is the chaos god of entropy, and that is manifested through visually and aesthetically through pestilence and plague and disease and rot. But it is also like, in a weird way, it is also like rest and stagnation. So like the people that might fall to Papa Nurgle would be the people that watch your Twitch stream, where you're just like, bunch of fucking nerds sitting learning about magic cards and Warhammer, or like my audience too, people that sit in their chairs for too long. And the thing about Nurgle is that when you fall to Papa Nurgle, you feel great because you are tied now to Papa Nurgle. Like your body feels great, you feel comfortable, everything feels nice, but you're like bubbling with pus and pestilence and disease. And if that connection to Nurgle ever breaks, you just feel like utter pain and horrible things. Nurgle is also maybe the only chaos god that genuinely like has love and care for the people that are under him. It's just that the expressions of that love are like by making you really sick and full of plague and vermin and horrible stuff like that. Famously, there's a creature called the Beast of Nurgle, which is the picture that I used for this tier list. That is like a really nasty looking creature that genuinely has the attitude of like a puppy and is just trying to like get positive attention and like be cute and be friends. But when it touches you, it like fills you with like bacteria and horrible stuff and like crushes you to death.
I think it's easy to place these guys Golgari, green, black, and then you could add white or you could add blue. I don't think the commander is as important as the energy. The energy I'm getting from this player is somebody who is consistently trying to derail the game to get you to engage with them socially. And when they do, they're just incredibly cringe. I think that's viral Reddit post. I think that's for sure. I think that's a viral Reddit post where half the comments say, fuck Nurgle, Nurgle's such a bitch, and the other half blame the person who played with Nurgle for not conceding and just walking away.
Yeah, the other reason why it would be on a Reddit post is it'll be the situation where they bring food to the game, but the food they bring is half-eaten Chinese food that they left out on the kitchen counter for 4 days.
And
so we just have one left. And I saved this one for last intentionally because I wanted, in order to understand what makes the Imperial Guard cool, you need a lot of you need to understand the setting that they take place in. Let's just take a moment, look back upon all the other things we talked about, how extreme they are, how horrible they are, how violent they are. The Imperial Guard are regular people. They are regular people with no powers, no crazy things. They have okay technology, and they have to protect humanity against all of that we just talked about. They are, the only thing they have going for them is numbers, and their stories are, in my opinion, often the best stories because they are the stories of, the Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard. I mean, there's lots of different human sections, right? I picked the Imperial Guard because they don't have any of the fun, fancy stuff, right? They don't have the Sisters of Silence. They're just fucking guys. They're the most just guys. The Imperium has a lot of sort of human magic-y, their own shenanigans. Like the Space Marines technically are part of the Imperium, but the Imperial Guard they are just regular soldiers fighting against reality-bending chaos demon gods and ancient Terminators and swarm hive minds and orcs that can bend reality because they think it's funny, and they just have las rifles and tanks and like spaceships that look like battleships, and they're just barely scraping by. And like every fight they go into is like, if they win, it is impossibly not epic because how stacked the deck is against them. This is not necessarily true anymore, but but who cares? Because lore is a matter. But like the average lifespan of an Imperial Guardsman is supposed to be like 20 minutes. But still, they go out and they fight and they protect humanity.
And so for how they are as a player, I would say one of the Odrics, which is a mono white commander. And I'm thinking specifically of mono white tempo. Tempo is a game plan where you're not trying to have the biggest thing, but you're trying to get enough stuff out before other people can get their big advanced defenses out to overwhelm them.
I think that could be. I will say, when you said like they sacrifice people to make better bullets, that is 100% something the Imperium would do. But I also think that might actually be something other branches of the Imperium would do, maybe not the Guard specifically.
Right.
The Guard is pretty classic military, but there definitely would be a lot of folks that would be like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I think this is similar to the Orcs in the sense of fun. You enjoyed the game, you want them back. With players like this, the gas is kind of on from minute one because of how they're trying to bury you in bodies, and that's not a universal vibe. And so I think that's the thing keeping them out of Daka Daka. It's that similar type of like one speed energy, and that one speed doesn't fit in everywhere.
Cool.
Yeah. So this is
Dude,
where
we did it.
We've done it. We've firmly and confidently taken the entirety of 40k lore that matters.
Yeah, if
and
you
placed it into Magic.
if you see a thing that isn't here, it's fanfic. These are the only official things in
Fanfic?
Warhammer.
It's fanfic, and we fucking made it up.